We are in Mississauga tonight, where a pastor is apologizing following comments he made about the Catholic Church's role in the residential school system. Now, we've been told that he will not be presiding in the coming days, including this weekend, as some are calling for his resignation.
We don't know how those children died. We don't know and can't know if they would have died had they stayed at home.
That's just part of Pastor Owen Keenan's sermon at the Merciful Redeemer Parish last weekend, speaking about residential schools. He goes on to say that this is in no way, quote, of any excuse or anything, but then added,
many people had very positive experiences of residential schools. Many people received healthcare and educations and joyful experiences. They weren't universally awful.
Part of Keenan's remarks began surfacing on social media, including this one.
I presume that the same number would thank the church for the good that was done in those schools. But of course, that question was never asked. And in fact, we're not allowed even to say that good was done in those schools.
In response, outrage, with many calling the religious leader's comments harmful and dangerous.
How can you say that when we weren't allowed to say no to these residential schools? How is that possible? Children were ripped from their mother's arms, or they were taken right out of the communities.
Atrocities committed by the Catholic Church and Canadian governments in residential school systems have been documented. Experts adding that the religious leader's statements fundamentally ignores the history of how and why residential schools were created.
To eliminate Indigenous peoples, I would be far more insisting that someone in his position step down. It's not a simple matter of becoming educated and apologizing in front of a congregation. This shows that you are not effectively committed to representing the community in which you're serving.
CityNews reached out to Keenan but received no response by Thursday evening. A statement on his website signed by the Monsignor offers an apology for the hurt caused, quote, I am deeply sorry, embarrassed, ashamed, and shocked at the revelations of abuse, destruction, and harm done in residential schools across the country. As a Catholic and a priest, I in no way condone the residential school system. I regret deeply that these places existed, and I lament the harm that was caused.
There is a need for us to hold churches responsible for what they played a part in.
The religious leader also pledged to do better, listen, and learn.
We wish to apologize in a very particular way for the instances of physical and sexual abuse that occurred in those schools.
Earlier this month, the Archdiocese of Toronto offered an apology for the role the church played in Canada's residential school system, and today apologized for the Monsignor's remarks. Monsignor Keenan has pledged to fully educate himself with the appropriate support to gain a more wholesome understanding of the full history of residential schools and their impact in our country.
Why not commit to education before speaking? Really, I'm wondering what's going on within the church that in this present moment, even after the TRC report came out, that there isn't more work being undertaken within the church to educate from within.
Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie, pictured here with Owen Keenan, posted to her Twitter in 2017, said she was extremely disappointed by the comments.
His comments show a fundamental misunderstanding of one of the core tragedies of the residential school system in Canada. The children were forcibly separated from their parents.
And you can see here a cleaning crew at the church at this hour. They've been removing vandalism that was spray painted overnight. Peel Police is investigating this as a hate-motivated incident. Now, in that same sermon, the pastor also criticized Catholic schools here in Peel for flying the pride flag. We have more on this story on our website, citynews.ca.